I didn't stutter, or rather, I had a block. It's better to say, it's better to talk about speech blocks instead of stuttering, because stuttering, as I understand it, is a term that doesn't quite fit. About 20 years ago, scientists came up with a term that was somewhat incorrect. Because if you stuttered, you had no control until controlled. Water unflowed. Stuttering didn't depend on you until controlled. It's like water unflowed, because stuttering can be controlled. The water won't pass yet. And the fact that it can be stopped, because stuttering can be controlled. Yes, that is, I thought correctly. I understood how to do this myself. I got used to it a little. You can do it without stuttering, but in Econ this won't happen. So, stuttering is not a skill, which is why I really recommend just taking words like stuttering out of your mind. Yes, because they are fundamentally. They contradict the truth and only confuse you. It's better to focus on something specific like speech blocks. For example, either the speech amplitude is incorrect, and we'll talk about this in a bit more detail. Yes. So, why does a block occur? How can you prepare for it? Say speech block, not block. A block can't enter on its own. How can you prepare for it, to not experience it, to get used to it? It's better to say speech block, so not just block, but not entering a block. Yes, because a block can't just enter you, on its own. Walking, a block appears or enters, it's your actions causing it. There is a stupor nearby, or, on the contrary, it has entered you. So there's no such thing, it's not something external, it's your actions that can provoke a block. Yes. So it's not something external to you, it's just incorrect thoughts in your mind, but it doesn't always manifest. You always do it yourself. So when a person starts to understand, like realize that they are in control, they can manage their speech actions. He can simply just take it, not do it, and easily go around the old paths if he wants to. Yes. Then he starts to do it better, more and more often. But that's if he follows this instruction and it, with multiple repetitions, he remembers. You can even do it. There aren't that many situations. There are 1, 2, 3 people. Just to communicate a bit more over the week, yes. And it's preferable not to replace words at all. In fact, it's even better not to replace words and to speak in a more elaborate way. Not to enter a block. So, this block happens in a clinch, right? And a clinch is in wrestling or not? Yes, when people just take it and... I got it, yes. So they are fighting, they start to struggle. So it feels like you're here at the level of your speech apparatus, starting to struggle with your own speech apparatus against the flow of air. Yes. And you barricade the path of the airflow with your language. And so this struggle manifests within him. And those, like this. So actually, it's better not to get into this struggle, and it's easy not to go through it. That is, any word can be made without this, any phrase can be made without this. That's what we're going through. That's why we're here, talking about how we can test speech. So it's not just about reading, retelling, or practicing, because we can't just train speech. It's about correct training. We can focus on understanding, and we can do it in a way that's easy for us. So it's not about reading, retelling, or practicing. We can't train speech. It's about training it right. We can emphasize understanding and do it in a way that's easy. We can understand attention and make an emphasis. We can just do it in a way that's comfortable and convenient, using different words and phrases. Suggestions for. A little later, it will be this to put together what is needed so that the sentences sound naturally. In other words, at your own pace, where you go through. Naturally, so at your own pace, where you go through 2, 3, 4 phrases after the comma before. But it will be a bit more complicated. Of course, it's better than speaking one word at a time. Many can say one word at a time without stuttering. It takes a long time to learn this, but moving on. But for me, this next stage, in my case, it got solidified maybe a month. No, well, maybe a month or 2. It was really kind of a jumble back then, since I wasn't aware of a lot of things. What I know now, yes. Because, when I was given this, I was at the Snowball, right? They gave me a 3-day foundation, and on the 3rd day they told me, well, that's it, basically, because You know everything, you can do the homework exercises. And I understand myself that not yet, that no, I can leave, yes, but somehow I feel that this is it. So, well, okay, we skipped around, yeah, we listened to a lecture about how all doctors are bad, right? There are a lot of lectures about how all the points are trying to deceive you and profit off you while you're just not sick. So I'm sharing exclusive information about being healthy and not being sick and so on. So yes, I think that's why at first that is really, but not much. More could be given. There could have been other recommendations, which I'm giving now. So you don't step on the same rake. You understand, right? Rake, meaning to act. Because when you do something wrong, it later reflects in your speech, but it also reflects in your thinking. And everyone wants the students to achieve similar results. They have the opportunity not after a year or 2 or 3 like me, yes. Well, and I stumbled, there were either kicks. That's why I know the difference between stutters and pauses. Yes, so a pause is just up to that. A pause, yes, it's just people who don't actually stutter. They don't get stuck. They just keep going, you know? Just a guy stops, then either starts over. Does it start to continue? Starts over, starts with words. Even at first phrases like, and then a stutter. This happens when they take simple pauses and turn them into stutters, meaning stops. There. Because of uncertainty, it comes from not knowing, from not understanding that, damn, I have an option. No, either stay silent or at least try to muster the strength to make a sound, or it's just stretching. Us. So, yes, here they're going the wrong way, it's all just wrong. Such thoughts, thought images regarding how to make this word, yes? That is how to... There's no proper understanding. How to load it correctly so that it comes out fine for you, both the words and the phrases continue. That is... No, it's a normal cause and effect relationship. You do something, you get something, you do something, you get something. But it can vary in degrees. Because I had moments when I could with someone, but it was few, not hundreds. I was speaking not in my own tone. I felt like it was a whisper, and I felt it. That, I was speaking not in my own tone. I felt like it was a silent voice, and I felt it. The fact that I don't speak to them in detail, I make word substitutions. But this doesn't count. This is not normal speech from those people who communicated with me. So these few out of hundreds with whom I kind of talked there, I spoke more or less, hardly stuttered at all. There I was, first of all, substituting words, and from their perspective it might have seemed like I wasn't stuttering. If someone were to ask if people stutter in Lithuania, yeah, probably not. But they don't know what path it all took to get there. The thoughts weren't fully expressed. I mean, yeah, this thing is just great. The thoughts weren't fully expressed. That is, yes. With the right, necessary words that you wanted. Somewhere a replacement, somewhere a speed up, something you simply kept silent about. Here, this is not called the norm. If people knew what path it takes, they would be shocked, right? Because it's so much information every day. It's stress, communicating with stuttering. You must substitute words. You think about how you even live with it because you need to communicate. You have to come up with ways to substitute words if you don't know how to say them normally. That is, yes, an easy, comfortable path. There is talk of education, the right path. When you get used to something and realize that it works, you can actually take it further to the level of just a habit. Back then, you didn't know any of this. So, actually, you can master this further to the level of just a habit. Back then, you didn't know any of this. People might think that you don't stutter, but you're not doing it for them. You're not speaking for that reason. Yeah, but actually you stutter for the sake of people, so they think you don't. Stuttering. But what if it's uncomfortable here? This example is over the phone. For example, I often had this, and now I'm going to ask too. Who are you calling? And has there ever been a time when you're really trying not to stutter, but you're making faces, like pushing through it, just because the person can't see you? But you need to not stop or you'll get stuck. Give it from this clinch. That happened